Welcome to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo. Brought to you by Coastal Appliances, Island Automotive, Somerset Mortgage, The Emerald Princess, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Care and Media Care, Misty's Element Massage, Jenkins Nissan, and by Loco's Grill and Pub. Now here's the voice of the Glynn Academy Red Terrors, Kevin Price.
Welcome to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price. We're on location at Loco's Grill and Pub. We are here each and every Sunday night at 6:30 for the entire season. This segment of the Coach Hidalgo Show is sponsored by Island Automotive, Coastal Appliances, The Emerald Princess, Somerset Mortgage, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Care, Media Care, Misty's Element Massage, Jenkins Nissan, Magic 105.9, and, of course, Locos. Now with us, as always, the head coach of the Glynn Academy Red Terrors, Coach Rocky Hidalgo. Coach, welcome to the show once again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, in case anyone missed it, a big night for Glynn Academy this past Friday night out at Glynn County Stadium. The Red Terrors jumped all over the Statesboro Blue Devils, winning by the score of 48-16. Glynn Academy goes to 6-3 on the season overall and 5-2 in Region 3-5A. Glynn Academy assures itself of a winning season, and most importantly, the Red Terrors have clinched a state playoff berth and will play in the state playoffs in 2 weeks. Coach, I know that was a mouthful, but obviously you accomplished a lot with that victory Friday night.
Yeah, you know, it was good to put that behind us to make sure that we're kind of in the dance. We're invited to the party now. And also really to take another step forward. I feel like the last 2 weeks we're kind of getting somewhere, as a football team. We're really starting to make some strides, and hopefully we'll continue in that direction.
And, Coach, let's go back to the start of the season. When you signed the contract right there before spring practice started, if anyone would have told you that you would have been 6-3 and also going to the state playoffs for sure, would you have taken that?
Yeah,
in your first year?
I'll be honest with you. When I took the job, right after I signed the playoffs, I signed the contract. I shouldn't say right after, but I had a lot of people who told me that, you know, when we talked about expectations, moving in the new region, very tough region with what we had coming back, there was a lot of people who felt like 4 or 5 wins is kind of where we were going to be. And I'm proud of our kids. I think our kids have really worked hard to kind of get where we are. We've improved. Anybody who's watched us at practice, every day at practice, we've gotten better every day, and we get a little better every day, and it's starting to show up on Friday night. That's the most promising thing.
And I was going to ask you about that, and we'll go back to that in a minute. But what does it mean to you to make the playoffs in the first year? Or are you more, I guess, proud of the coaching staff and the players to be able to pull together and progress through the season to get to this point?
Yeah, It really is. Our expectation every year is to compete for a region championship, make the playoffs, and compete for a state championship. And I think if we have that expectation every year and we work our tails off to achieve it, sooner or later we're going to go out there and we'll make it happen. When we showed up the first day, we told the kids, that we got to believe in something. Our goal is to go out and compete at the highest levels, and we're going to get opportunity this year.
And Coach, I thought 2 weeks ago, I guess we should say, the Effingham game was your most complete game, but then you come out Friday night and play one that seems even better than that. So in 2 weeks, I think you've really taken a step forward after that loss to Ware County and then during the off week and just the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we went back and really as coaches, I had a long meeting with the coaches that we've got to do a better job of coaching our kids and coaching every moment of every day at practice, and we have to set the tone. And everybody looks to leadership, looks to the kids for leadership. Who are your leaders on the team? And you always have those, you have those kids that are special kids out there that kind of set the tone with the kids, but it really comes from the coaching staff. And I'm a firm believer that the teams take on the personality, the persona of their coaching staff. And if your coaching staff's lazy, the players will be lazy. If your coaching staff works their tail off and are professional, the players will as well. And I think, I think I've seen some development in our coaching staff over the last few weeks. And because of that, I think the response has been our players have played better. I'm a big believer those guys have got to go out and set the example, and I'm proud of our coaches. They've done a great job coaching our kids, and our kids have responded with 2 really great efforts.
This is the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. And, Coach, let's start on the offensive side and break things down there. Then we'll switch over to the defensive side. But overall, 487 yards for Glynn Academy in the win over Statesboro, 245 rushing, 242 passing. Talk about balance. You can't get much better than that.
No, that's about as close as you can get. And I think our offensive line played well. You see really the development of Adrian Cross. 5 or 6 weeks ago, it was really about Garrison Hurd offensively, and we've had, we had to kind of play everybody on one side of the ball there for a while to get everybody accustomed to what they were doing. But people are starting to get more comfortable in what we're doing offensively and defensively. We can have more crossover guys. So you see Adrian on offense playing a bunch on offense. Garrison's over on defense doing some good things on us on defense, and it's paying off with I think our performance overall. We're putting more talent on the field. It's good to see us go out there and spread the ball around. Zach have a good game. We missed a couple throws here and there, but nobody's going to hit them all. But he really did a great job of kind of picking his receivers and putting the ball, and guys went out and made big plays.
Now, one comment I read you made to the local newspaper, I think you said we played well, but our execution could have been better. Was that just you being very nitpicky as a head coach?
No, I think it could have been. I mean, I think we had some instances in the game where we didn't sub in very well. As we were running our players on and off the field. Some of that's on us as coaches, but the other thing is the kids. We've got to learn when to sub and when not to sub. And then, we missed some things. We left some points out on the field, missed blocks, not putting a hat on somebody when we need to. I think early in the game that was apparent. But, there's always something to improve on, and our goal is to be better than we are. And if we want to be better than we are, we have to improve on Friday night's performance.
Well, let's talk about Zach Lamper, if you will, Coach, and elaborate on him a little bit. We talked very early on that as he developed, the offense would develop, and he obviously as the quarterback is an integral part of what you're doing. But, we talked about his progression early, and maybe he struggled a little bit in midseason with some things. But here in the last couple of weeks, he's been very efficient as well, both as a runner and a passer. The other night, 13 of 21 passing, 224 yards and 4 touchdowns, also 65 rushing yards and a touchdown. So 5 touchdowns altogether for Zach. Just talk about his play and his continued development at quarterback.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, the season could have gone either way, and Zach struggled kind of in the middle of the season over there. What we did, we sat down with him and said, you've got to do these things to be the quarterback and to lead the team, and some of that was really off the field stuff. His preparation had to be better. He had to invest more time as a player in film study and really with his teammates, and to his credit, he did. And what we do is very different from what they did here in the past with him. So he's having to learn a totally different system. Fundamentally, there was a lot of fundamental issues that we had to do and work with Zach, and he's worked his tail off to get to where he is, and he's playing great football for it. And that's really a testament to him and his commitment to lead a really good football team. And because at the end of the day, he's the straw that stirs the drink. And I'm proud of the way he kind of responded, because it could have gone either way. But he's a great kid, and I think people see the end result of his hard work out there the last 2 weeks.
All right. Well, there's more to come here on the Coach Hidalgo Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Right now, these words from our sponsors.
For all of your automotive repair needs, visit Island Automotive, 1950 Demery Road, across from the fire station on St. Simon's Island. They're a family-owned and operated business that has been delivering great service not only to St. Simon's, but to all of Southeast Georgia for over 25 years. Your complete auto repair and auto detailing facility. Online at islandautomotivecenter.com or at 912-638-0888. And go Terrors! Coastal Appliances is your one-stop shop for Whirlpool washers and dryers, Whirlpool refrigerators, and so much more. Coastal Appliances offers free delivery and service after installation and have also been in business for over 30 years. 4727 Altama, next to Sonic, and on the web at appliancesbrunswickga.com, or give them a call at 912-267-0132. Coastal Appliances, Glynn County's only specialty appliance store.
Hop Hop aboard for Texas Hold'em tournaments, roulette, poker, lots of slot action, food, music, and more. Labor Day weekend, Sunday, August 31st, 7 p.m. Cruises depart from Brunswick, Georgia. Call 800-842-0115 or visit EmeraldPrincessCasino.com. Must be 18 years of age and present a government-issued photo ID to board.
I'm Jenkins Nissan.
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 I am Jenkins Nissan.
I'm Donnie Jenkins. We're all Jenkins Nissan, and together we want to show you just how easy buying and servicing your car should be. So please, stop by and experience the Jenkins Nissan difference. Look for the red and white Nissan tent at the corner of Chapel Crossing Road and the Spur, or visit us online at JenkinsNissanofBrunswick.com.
Welcome back to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price. We're on location at Loco's Grill and Pub on St. Simon's. This segment brought to you by Island Automotive, Coastal Appliances, Jenkins Nissan, Magic 105.9, and the Emerald Princess. And, Coach, let's go back and talk a little bit more about the Statesboro game. A 48-16 win for Glynn Academy over Statesboro. The Red Terrors go to 6-3 and punch their ticket to the state playoffs with one game remaining in the regular season, and that is this coming Friday night at South Effingham, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But, Coach, I thought some interesting play calling by your offensive coordinator, and I guess you approving all the plays. But we saw some things we haven't really seen this year necessarily, or at least multiple times, but some jet sweeps, some shovel passes, and you really looked like you were trying to attack them vertically. And I know that's probably some of the passes you thought you missed, but before the night was over, you did end up hitting some. But a variety of play calls and just moving the ball around between all your playmakers on offense.
Yeah, I think what you see is our kids – two things are happening. Our kids are starting to get comfortable with what we do. The other thing is we're starting to learn our kids. I mean, it's right now we've played 9 games, and I finally feel like I have a handle on what our kids can and can't do. And I'm sure Sean feels the same way offensively. We're starting to learn who they are, what they can do, what they can handle. And so that's a big part of it. The other thing, the kids are getting comfortable with what we're running, and we're able to kind of expand the offense a little bit. And so you see some of those things that kind of we want to get into. I think at the end of the day, you'll see us eventually. We want to be like an Arizona or a Missouri offensively, and really incorporate a lot of different looks running the football as well as in the passing game. And
talking about the running game, I think again more than 8 players carried the ball, maybe 9 or 10, and of course even your punter Seth Carroll got in on the action, which I'll talk to you about here in a moment, but. Garrison Hurd has jumped over to play more defense, and I guess with all these other guys running the ball as well as they are behind him, you mentioned that earlier. You're able to move him over and get something out of him on both sides of the football.
Yeah, it really came. It wasn't so much about Garrison as it was about Adrian really getting comfortable at safety. Garrison getting comfortable at running back, understanding what we're doing there, and he needed less practice time because there's only so many minutes in a practice. We can't have him do 2 hours of offense, then 2 hours of defense. So we have to share him. And the other one is Jeremiah coming along really is we feel like we have 3 backs, and we have a young kid who is going to be spectacular. Sharif, I think you'll see him one day, probably a year from now, really emerge as he's got a chance to be a spectacular back. He gives us fits in practice, and he's got some explosiveness that we really look forward to being able to get out there on the field one day.
You're listening to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. And, Coach, let's talk about defense a little bit. Your defense held Statesboro to 253 total yards. A lot of times they get that on the ground, if not more, out of that traditional wishbone attack. But 159 rushing yards for the Blue Devils, about 94 passing when they went to the shotgun formation primarily throughout much of the second half. But just talk about the way your defense played. I know going into the game you were a little bit worried about your defensive front stacking up against their physical offensive front. So just talk about things defensively.
Yeah, I think it was probably the last 2 weeks defensively we played our most physical football of the year, which is encouraging. But our defensive line played a really great pad level. I think our linebackers really got downhill. Preston Joseph and Hunter Hall and Garrison at linebacker did a great job of kind of getting downhill and being physical when we tackle people. And so I see us developing over there defensively, really across the front. And our defensive guys, they really hung in there. We gave up a touchdown kind of at the end of the first half. That a lot of that was because of a touchdown. The penalty, the personal foul. We gave them 15 additional yards, and that probably was the reason they went to the 4 wide. We blew a coverage back there, and that's something we've got to go back and work on. We didn't spend a ton of time working on our pass coverage last week just because what they do on offense. It was so different kind of what we had seen. We spent a lot of time really working on our run defense, and it showed. And I'm really pleased with the performance of our kids, especially of our defensive line.
And, Coach, we knew that obviously Statesboro wants to run that wishbone. If they're able to run it all night, that means they're being successful. But we did know they might jump into some Wildcat, which they did, I think, in the second quarter for the first time. But after you got the big lead on them at halftime, they went more to the shotgun formation. And I know that obviously that's not their forte, throwing the football, and that's not what they want to do. But I tell you, that sophomore quarterback, though, he's got a good, pretty live arm. They might have to work on some spread formations or something for the next 2 years just to let him sling around a little bit.
Yeah, they've got some talented kids, and they're a very young football team.
Right.
I talked to Coach Pennington before and after the game, and that was really my first time I'd met him. And what a neat guy he is. His kids really played hard, and it's obvious to see why he's had so much success there at Statesboro. And I know they've had a tough year, and their fans are probably a little disappointed, but looking at the kids that they're playing with and the number of young players, I would be really excited with what we have coming in the future if I were Statesboro Blue Devil, that's for sure.
All right, well, let's talk. Yeah, I noticed their roster did have several freshmen and sophomores and not as many juniors and seniors, and we knew they were a young football team. And it is showing Statesboro with just 2 wins after 9 games, kind of odd, but we know they'll be back in the mix going forward. But let's talk about Seth Carroll for a moment. You get him back from the stress fracture, and he used to handle all of your kicking chores. Now you've kept them divided up, I guess, and you could talk about that a little bit. But he has the fake punt run for a first down on the first series of the game, and you end up scoring a touchdown. Let's talk about it. Did he have a green light on that, or is that something he looked at y'all to do when he saw a certain formation?
Well, we're a rugby punt team, and depending on the down and distance, he has the go-ahead to go in there and tuck one and run one, and he did that Friday night. I tell him he has one where he doesn't get it, and then it's all kind of on me. Then I decide, hey, this one's okay, this one's not okay. But you really have to give a guy, if you're going to run the rugby, you have to give a guy the freedom to do it, because you can't really tell from the sideline when it's going to be there, when it's not going to be there. And when it's there, it's there. I mean, we were very fortunate. That was good to me at my last school. We probably faked 4 or 5 of them, and he's become more comfortable with it. He's starting to see it. Once they start reading it, it can be a valuable weapon. And so it's good that he did that, and he kind of saw it and made a play, because a play like that can turn the game around.
Now, are you going to keep the kicking chores divided up like you have? Obviously, the guys who filled in for him are still doing a good job. Are you going to keep things separated as far as extra point, field goal, kicking off, punting?
Yeah, we'll probably keep it for right now. Seth had a knee that was bothering him. It actually bothers him more really when he does kicking duties than it does punt, any punting, and that's one of the reasons that kind of we looked into that. He kicked all 4 Friday night. He said it felt good as long as the pooch kicks. It's the distance stuff. When he tries to drive the ball, he has some issues with it. So depending on how his knee feels moving forward, we'll kind of reevaluate that stuff. But Scout Churchwell's done a great job for us as all the kicking duties on the extra point field goal team, and there's really no reason for us to make a change if something happens in practice. We evaluate those guys every day, basically, and so they're always at competition with their job. And if it looks like one day that he's in the lead, we'll make that change if that's what we have to do.
And speaking of injuries, did you come out of the game the other night health-wise and looking okay going into week number 10 against South Effingham?
Yeah, we are. Our kids are really healthy, and I think that's a big part of kind of what we do philosophically at practice. I mean, when I came down, and we don't take our kids to the ground. We don't run a whole lot of full contact practices. Our kids we're not in full pads all the time, and a lot of people look cross-eyed at me. I didn't tell them that in the interview. I may not have gotten the job, to be honest with you. But I'm a big believer that a kid only has so many contacts and collisions over the course of a season, and once he kind of reaches that limit, his body starts to break down. There's a body of evidence that shows that I'm right in that, and so I'm a believer in that. I try to save my kids their bodies for Friday nights. That's what we want to do. So in some of that, there's a struggle teaching a kid how to do things correctly in full speed and to tackle correctly. So there's some give and takes on that. But your goal is by this time of year, hopefully you've got a healthy team. You go in the playoffs healthy and well rested with good legs. And right now, going into the South Effingham game, we are.
All right. Well, we'll come back from our break here in just a moment and talk about that game Friday night at South Effingham. So there's more to come here on the Coach Hidalgo Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network.
Relax. Misty's Element Massage specializes in helping you do just that. Located at 138 Village Market on St. Simon's Island, Misty's Element Massage offers deep tissue massages, therapeutic massages, scrubs, creams, body wraps, and much more. The perfect gift for that special someone, not to mention sports massages for that aching muscle. Schedule your appointment today at 912-224-0198 or on the web at mistyselement.com.
Bruce Kennedy Tire is your hometown destination for tires. Michelin, Goodyear, and all the brands you trust. But don't let the name fool you. Bruce Kennedy Tire, located at 2928 Norwood Street, does more than just tires. Brakes, alignments, repair work, and more than I can mention. Bruce Kennedy is locally owned and operated, so you get the best service in Glynn County. So give Bruce a call at 912-264-6578. Bruce Kennedy Tire, a name you can trust. Get affordable health care when you need it. At Apple Care Immediate Care, our team of compassionate healthcare providers is dedicated to treating each patient with the highest standard in healthcare. Located at 1111 Glencoe Parkway, Apple Care is open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Apple Care welcomes all walk-ins from pediatric to adult ages and accepts most insurance plans. Visit us at applecaredoctors.com and like us on Facebook.
Hello, Glynn Academy Red Terror fans. It's an exciting time of the year when football season starts. It's also an exciting time of the year if you are buying a home and need a great mortgage team on your side. The smart folks at Somerset Mortgage will help you lock in the best rates and closing costs, but more importantly, they have the patience and expertise you need to get you to the closing table. Call Somerset to find out more. 638-2020, conveniently located next to Outback on St. Simon's. Somerset, 638-2020.
It's time to get together with friends and family to enjoy great games, great food, and a great atmosphere at Loco's on St. Simon's Island. Loco's has something for everyone with their classic sandwiches, fresh salads, and specialty burgers. And Loco's award-winning wings, from traditional boneless or slow roasted, means it's time to get your wings on. With football season starting, don't forget to catch the game at Loco's too. Be sure to like Loco's on Facebook to keep up with the latest. Have your friends meet you at the Moose.
Welcome back to the Glynn Academy Red Terror Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price. We're on location at Loco's Grill and Pub on St. Simon's. This final segment is brought to you by Misty's Element Massage, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Care, Immediate Care, and Somerset Mortgage. And, Coach, let's go ahead and talk about the game Friday night against South Effingham, the final regular season game. If you win it, you'll finish the regular season at 6-3 and also go to 6-2 in the region. But how do you keep the kids focused this week, knowing that the game really doesn't matter in terms of your fate going forward? Do you think the kids are hungry enough, focused enough to get as many wins as they can and go out and get the seventh win? How do you prepare them, I guess, for this game just from the get-go preparation-wise?
You know, they better be focused enough, and they better want to win. I mean, that really comes down to it. This is about us, and I've said this every week. I probably sound like a broken record, but this is about us and our program, about wanting to go out and compete and wanting to go out and improve and going out and practicing every day to be better. And that's really, if we're always competing against us, we'll never run out of somebody to go against, and we won't worry about the opponent. And that's what we're trying to learn, teach our players, is that we want to go out and beat South Effingham, but our opponent is us. It's inside us. The guy that's complacent because we've gone out and we played great 2 weeks in a row, I've gone out and I scored 3 touchdowns Friday night. That's the guy that you have to battle, because if you're able to go back and work your tail off again after this week, then we'll go out and we'll play well against South Effingham. And that's all we can do. We can go out. All we can control is our effort and our execution. If we'll do that, if we'll play incredibly hard and go out and do the things we're coached to do, we'll have an opportunity to win the game.
And I guess there still is sort of the battle or the jockeying for position. You're tied with Brunswick, I guess, in that 3rd slot. Regardless of what they do, if you win, you'll be the 3 seed, and they would be the 4 seed if they were to somehow upset Ware County, and then you guys were to get beat. I guess things would switch. But will you talk about that at all? I mean, I don't know if it really matters to be a 3 or 4 seed. You're going on the road either way, and I don't know enough about those teams that you would be facing to know if it would really matter.
Frankly, I don't spend any time talking to my kids about losing. None. About if this happens, we lose. And we don't waste any time on talking about losing. The other thing, I don't waste any time talking about who we're going to play in the playoffs, or if this happens, this happens. I don't. I'll be honest with you. I haven't spent much time looking at who we might play. Playoff scenarios, when people ask me about playoff scenarios, where we in, are we not in, what's going to happen, I don't worry about those, because if we go and win the games, it'll take care of itself. And that's probably, a lot of people probably think that's baloney, but that really is how I think. I don't really worry about it. If we win, we're going to be playing somewhere. By this time next week, I'll know who it is. We'll be prepared to play them, and I'll have the buses scheduled. And that's all we can do is focus on the next game and keep working to improve. If we keep improving, we need to win today, win tomorrow, and just do that. And the playoffs will take care of themselves. Who we play, when we play, where we play, that all that stuff will be done here soon enough.
Well, I can tell you're focused on Week 10, so if the kids are just as focused, you're going to be okay. This is the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with Coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. And, Coach, let's talk about South Effingham. They've scared some people this year. Had Brunswick on the ropes late in the game, and Brunswick got off the mat and won that game late in the 4th quarter out at the stadium. And then they also played Coffee tooth and nail, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, obviously, they have some potential, just a decent, solid high school football team, I guess.
I'm going to say this. They're really good. And, there's a lot of good teams in this region. I think and everybody knew that coming in. And they're one of them. They've got a very good football team. In a lot of regions, they'd be playing in the playoffs, and they probably already have a slot locked up. Defensively, you see them. They play incredibly hard. They're very well coached. They're kind of scrappy on defense. And they get to the ball, and they do a lot of great things. They've got a couple of guys who are really, really good at linebacker, getting downhill, physical kids. They've got some guys in the secondary who come downhill and strike you, and they make plays. I think the most impressive thing about them is how hard they play. They play together. They play great team defense. They don't have a guy that stands off when you watch the film that you say, man, that guy right there, he's going to go to Georgia. They don't have that guy. But they have 11 guys who play incredibly hard and do what they're coached to do. Offensively, they like to spread around, and in a lot of ways very similar to what we're trying to do. And you see their quarterback is a big, good-looking kid on film. He throws the ball well. He distributes the ball well, very similar to what Zach does offensively for us. They've got a couple of guys who really run it well, and some guys with the ball in their hands can make some plays. And again, you see the thing that stands out to me is how well coached they are. You can tell that somebody's standing over them. They have a vision, what they want to be. They have an identity offensively and defensively, and they work on it every day, and it's going to make a tough game for them. It's a game that we're going to have to go play well to win this game. If we don't play well, if we don't prepare to win this game, then we'll come home 6-4 because they've got a good football team.
And I know you talk a lot about not exactly knowing how teams are going to line up against you because you've seen them play defensively against wing T attacks and things like that. But South Effingham did play very well against Brunswick here at the stadium. Will you take a look at that game maybe a little more closer than you might would, just because Brunswick is similar to you and what they do, and see if you can create some things that you notice off the film just from watching that game?
Yeah, one of the things that we do when we break down tape, we try to get hold of those tapes of teams that are very much like us. So, when we're getting tapes of Ware County versus our opponent or Richmond Hill versus our opponent, it doesn't do us a whole lot of good. So we try to go out and get those. And Coach Floyd and I we've kind of helped each other out. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I hope Brunswick goes 9-1 and loses to us us, and we'll beat them again in the state championship game, hopefully. I mean, that's really, I'm the Glynn Academy head coach, but I also work for Glynn County. I'm going to root for the schools in Glynn County because that's what I believe. That's how I was raised. And so Coach Floyd and I have shared some information, and I have helped him, and he's helped us. And so that's one of the things we do. We'll look at maybe what Brunswick does or what Coffee does and see how people line up, how they play them, try to get an idea how they're going to line up and defend us as well.
All right, well, Coach, I appreciate you being here once again. Go out and coach up the guys this week, and let's come back next Sunday night and talk about another Red Terror victory.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, thanks to all of you for joining us here on the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with Coach Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Come back out to Loco's Grill and Pub next Sunday night. We'll be here at 6:30 for the Coach Hidalgo Show. I'm Kevin Price signing off. Have a good week, everyone.